So I've got a question here, simplified fully, x over 2 plus 3x over 5 in brackets, divided by the square root of x to the power of 6 over 4. So that's an awkward looking question to just go straight into. So maybe there's a bit of something we can do with that before we even start. So I'm going to follow down a line here and show my working. But I've got one thing here with this square root. So what I could rewrite that as x over 2 plus 3x over 5. So I've not changed anything yet. The divide by sign I can leave. And now this square root, there's a property of square roots which I can use here. And I can write that as 2 square roots in a fraction. So square root of x over 6 divided by square root of 4. So now I can take the square root of both of these and get rid of my square root sign. So square root of x to the power of 6 is just x cubed, and the square root of 4 is just 2. So let's look at that. So square root of x to the 6, that's x to the 6 to the power of a half. So what we do is I just multiply the powers, that's where I get x cubed from. So let's write that over here. So now I've got x over 2 plus 3x over 5 divided by x cubed, square root of 4 is 2. Okay, well at least I've got the square root, but this, I don't really like this fraction as it is at the moment. So what I'm going to do now, if I change that into a multiply, I can then change that to its reciprocal. So x cubed over 2, so the reciprocal of that becomes 2 over x cubed. So I just flip them round. So let's put a multiply in there and write that accordingly. So x over 2 plus 3x over 5 multiplied by 2 over x cubed. Okay, well, what I can do now, as I've got a plus sign in the middle of these brackets, I can distribute this 2 over x cubed with each 2 accordingly. So let's do that. So let's distribute this with this one first. So 2 times x is 2x. And then 2 times x cubed, 2x cubed. Okay, well the simplification I can do there, that's looking good. And then my add sign will stay. And now I've got 2 times 3x, which is 6x. And then 5 times x cubed, 5x cubed. Okay, well now I can get rid of my bracket and simplify both terms. So what have we got here? So 2's can cancel out to become 1's. X can divide with this x cubed, and I can just cancel that to be a 1. So the whole of this numerator becomes 1, and then that 3 then becomes a 2. So now I've got 1 over x cubed, x squared, sorry. Same here now, I've got 6 over 5, well my coefficient can stay. And x over x cubed, I've got the similar situation to what I had here. This will cancel out to become 1, and then that will come 2. So 6 over 5 x squared. Okay, well, if I want to simplify this even more, I could perhaps make these into the same denominators. So if I multiply this term by 5 over 5, I'm multiplying it by 1, aren't I? So 1 equals 5 over 5. So if I multiply that by 5 over 5, I will get a denominator that's the same as this one here. So 5 times 1 is 5, and then 5x squared. Okay, so now that's what that become there. So I can change this to a 5 over 5x squared. So now I've simply got, add up my numerators, and I can come to my answer. 5 plus 6 is 11, and my denominator is just 5x squared. So that would take care of that. Now if I wanted to write that out of a fraction, I could write that as 11 fifths and x to the minus 2. So I could also write it like that if I wanted to as well. But I'm going to submit that as it's in the format of the original question. So that would be my final answer. And that would be a good place to stop.